This is Dr. Robert Balfanz from the Everyone Graduates Center and the Grad Partnership, and I'm here today to give you an introduction to student success systems. Current student support efforts are not sufficient for the pandemic-impacted world, and that's why we really are creating this idea of student success systems. Here are some reasons why what we have is not enough for the challenges we currently face. The student support systems we currently have arose over the past 20 years, each in response to a specific need, which has left us with a fragmented system. So we developed early warning and on-track systems to really work on dropout prevention and raise graduation rates. We introduced PBIS, or Positive Behavior Intervention Systems, as an alternative to sort of zero tolerance policies and a way to have a more proactive way to improve behavior. RTI became MTSS and was really about initially reducing the number of kids that got special education referral, and then became a general strategy for sort of providing academic support. After ESSA in 2015, many schools where chronic absenteeism became a performance or a accountability indicator in 35 states, many schools formed attendance teams. Along the way, we also beefed up our sort of college readiness and counseling supports, and may well have added in the past decade a health and wellness team. All of these teams have purpose and utility and do good work, but what happens is they end up having multiple meetings, often talking about the same student, but only one dimension of their need. That can lead to a lot of meetings and a lot of frustration because each meeting is only working with a small piece of a holistic challenge. In addition, the current scale and scope of our student needs post-pandemic has really expanded, in fact, maybe exploded. Chronic absenteeism doubled. Many schools reported great gains in behavioral challenges and student mental health needs. We all understand the large learning gaps that were caused because of the pandemic. And altogether, this has slowed momentum through high school to post-secondary. Recently, there was data showing that for the class of 2024, there is a 5% decline among all students enrolling in college right away, and a 10% decline among students that live lower income students. Our pre-pandemic student support systems were just not designed for this scale and scope of current needs. Systems were designed for maybe helping 50 kids, now have 250 kids in need of support. So how then do we create student supports that are strong enough for pandemic impacted times? Well, a couple of things we have to keep in mind. One, unfortunately, there will be protracted impacts of the pandemic. If we follow kids over time, we see that many of them that experience the pandemic in later elementary school or early middle school are just now getting to high school, for example. So for example, the class of 2027, which is still 3 years away, those are the kids that really experienced the pandemic in 6th grade. And you can see that's a critical transition year, we know, for high school graduation and post-secondary success. And those kids yet are still working their way through our system. So unfortunately, these pandemic impacts are going to be with us for a while. The other thing to keep in mind is we've had big advances in the past decade in brain science and youth development. It shows that the adolescent brain is still changing and developing, and many self-control and self-motivation strategies are undeveloped in the teenage years. At the very time, we're counting on kids, in some of our current approaches to student supports to figure it out for themselves. One example of an area of where there's been sort of advances of learnings sort of after a lot of those student success efforts got put in place is school connectedness. We're really learning, and this was really driven home when we sort of lost this during the pandemic, that when students are connected to school, they do better in school, they have better mental and physical health, they engage in risky behaviors. And because of this, it's as close as we have to universal prevention action. And the good news is that we can really operationalize connecting kids to schools in schools, and we can actually measure it, right? Because we know kids are connected to school and 4 things are true. They believe there's an adult who knows and cares about them as a person. They have a supportive peer group, could be formal, sports team, theater crew, robotics club, or informal, a circle of friends. They engage in activities they see as helping others, and they feel welcome in school for who they are. Okay. So we sort of put this together. We have greater need than our systems can currently account. Our current systems are fragmented. They often talk about the same kid, but at one aspect at a time, leading to great frustration. And we knew we needed stronger systems for these post-pandemic times. So we thought the best way to do this was actually to talk to the people doing the work. So we talked to over 300 educators, teachers, counselors, principals, superintendents, and others, and really just asked them in depth, what's working in your student supports? Where is more help needed? What things do you think are really needed to be added to make these systems work in the times we live in now? And that really led to this idea of a student success system, which is a way to organize a school community to help address both school-wide achievement and school culture issues, increase that school connectedness we talked about and a sense of belonging, and also to meet individual student needs. And to do that, it combines a focus on strong relationships with real-time, actionable, holistic data, which result in strategic improvement actions and are shaped by student-centered mindsets. That's a mouthful, and we're going to dig into that in depth right now. We can start with a picture, right? A picture is worth 1,000 words. So this really puts those ideas together in a visual way, right? We connect supporting relationships to actionable data, supported by student-centered mindsets, which enables us to take improvement actions, which importantly are co-created with teachers, students, families, and communities, because there's a lot of wisdom there that we sometimes rush past and our eagerness to find a quick solution to student needs. When we put all this together, it creates student success systems with a goal of enabling all students to thrive. And the key thing we heard from those teachers and counselors, and is critical to understand about student success systems, is they're not designed to be a new thing. They didn't want new things. They wanted their existing things to work better and to fill in missing pieces. So student success systems are designed to do that. And they really build upon existing efforts with early warning, on track, MTSS, PBIS. We really tell schools, find your strongest student support team and build up and out from that to create a student success team.